Alright guys, so we're going to do an analysis of this paragraph, and I'm going to try to talk more quickly because in a previous video I realized I was just expressionless and kind of causing people to fall asleep perhaps, the 6 or so people who watched the video, that is. So now we are somewhat caffeinated and we will attempt to do this in a more loosey-goosey fashion with more expressiveness. So we're going to take a look at a paragraph, as I said, and analyze it. It's originally from an article published in The Atlantic in 2019. How much immigration is too much? The wrong debate. By the way, this channel is about English and reading and writing and thinking. It's not a political channel. I have no skin in the game. I'm not American. I don't have an opinion about this that I wish to share in this video. And I'll just add to that brief disclaimer that I actually really enjoy this article. But that doesn't change the fact that there are things about the article that we can analyze and tease apart and interrogate.
Paragraph analysis, let's go.
So the first thing we want to do here is we want to keep track of the claims that are being made. So let's do that together, keeping in mind that a given sentence can have more than one claim. And then what we want to do is distinguish between explicit claims and sort of implied claims, or implied conclusions, which are also claims that perhaps we feel as if we are being led toward. They're implied, they're being suggested, but they're not being explicitly stated with words in the article. Okay, so we start off. Generally, immigrants commit crimes at lower rates than native-born Americans do. You can question what native-born means. That's not our concern here. And although the children of immigrants commit crimes at much higher rates than their parents do, some evidence suggests that cities with higher percentage of immigrants have experienced steeper reductions in crime. So what do we mean by keeping track of claims? Okay, so immigrants commit crimes at lower rates than Native Americans do. Generally, that's a claim in itself. We can sort of parse that off. We could change our color. There's another claim here. The children of immigrants commit crimes at much higher rates than their parents do. That's another claim. And then there's an although, because this seems to generate some sort of contradiction or tension. We also have this notion that some evidence suggests cities with higher percentage of immigrants have experienced steeper reductions in crime. Okay, interesting. And then we have President Trump speaks often about the victims of crimes being committed by undocumented immigrants. And then we have a but. So there's a claim there. President Trump, sorry, I'm severely caffeinated, everyone. President Trump speaks often about the victims of crimes committed by undocumented immigrants. And then we have a but, which suggests to us, or suggests in the readers, suggests this is perceived by the writer in his thought process, that there's some sort of tension here. So we have an A but B. Let's write that down. A but B. And the question is, what is that tension? So President Trump often speaks about this, but the years of high immigration since 1990 have seen the steepest declines in crime since modern record keeping began. So on the one hand, when President Trump speaks often about victims of crime committed by undocumented immigrants, the implication there, and we're not going to verify it in the real world, we're just going to stick to the world of this paragraph for now. The implication there is that maybe it has to do with the southern U.S. border, U.S.-Mexico border. When he talks about the victims of crimes committed by undocumented immigrants, it sounds like vaguely anti-immigrant. Not vaguely, but like anti-immigration. Although strictly speaking, it's not anti-immigration. Anti-illegal immigration. There's a notion that immigrants commit crimes, although we have here that immigrants generally, documented, undocumented, commit crimes at lower rates than native-born Americans. So there's a bunch of things going on there, sort of looming in the background, right? Lingering in the background, loitering in the lobby. And then we have the big fat but. So what we want to appreciate for this analysis, the main point that I want to raise, is the significance of the but and what sort of path of thinking it leads us to, and should this have been more fleshed out maybe by the writer, sort of if he was sort of representing things in good faith, or if he was trying to portray the most complete picture possible. So let's take a look. The years of high immigration since 1990 have seen the steepest declines in crime since modern record keeping began. So what we have is, let's just write since 1990, and we have high immigration, and we have steep decline in crime. Now, this very simple idea. I want to say that it's simple. The simple idea that I want to point out today in this analysis is just the following. Okay, I don't know where the camera is, so I'm gonna sort of crowd things a bit here. Is just the following: is that both of the following can be true. Both of the following can be true. One is undocumented immigrants can be committing lots of crime or just crime. That can be true. Too much crime. We can qualify, arguably any amount of crime is too much crime. We can qualify this any way we want. We could even say let me come back to that. That can be true. Okay, let's call that number one. Forgive me. Okay, we won't call it number one because this program is finicky. And it can also be true that overall crime rates in America are declining. It could I don't want to disparage undocumented immigrants. That's not the purpose of this, by the way. It could even be true technically that and a surprisingly high portion of undocumented immigrants are committing crime. That could be true, and at the same time it could be true that overall crime rates in America are declining. So why am I emphasizing that both of these could be true? To get to the but and to get back to this idea that we're sort of being led down a certain path of thought here. President Trump speaks often about the victims of crime committed by undocumented immigrants. Undoubtedly, some undocumented immigrants commit crimes, whereas some do not. I would hazard to guess that most do not, aside from the crime of being undocumented immigrant, for the sake of argument. But the years of high immigration since 1990 have seen the steepest declines in crime since modern record keeping began. So what you have to ask, what exactly is the relationship between those two claims? It seems relevant that native-born Americans commit more crimes than immigrants. But you have to ask yourself, what percentage of the population living in the United States are immigrants or the children of immigrants. For instance, if it's less, let's just play it safe and say it's less than 10%. If less than 10% of people living in America, actually it might be way higher than that. Let's say 15. Let's say 20. Let's say 20% of people living in America are immigrants or the children of immigrants. I mean, first generation. So that means you're still dealing with an 80% who fall outside of that category, and that means that for overall, this is 20 to 80. Overall, if crime is declining, that doesn't tell us very much about crime committed by undocumented immigrants. Crime committed by undocumented immigrants could be up 200%, just to take a random number, and crime overall could still be declining because 80 is so much bigger than 20. So that was a bit of a caffeinated, rambling analysis. By the way, this is not a political channel. We can do any topic that you like. It's just an example of just a but, how to use but, and if you want, you can steer your reader in certain directions. Just make sure that you're ready for some feedback from them, because once you get in the habit of analyzing paragraphs in this way, or analyzing writing in this way, analyzing journalism in this way, it just becomes almost second nature, and then you really will demand more of the writers that you read. Okay, I hope that was somewhat informative. I'll play it back and see how crazy I sound. Okay, take care. Bye-bye. Hey guys, so just the one last thing I wanted to add is, after I saw myself rambling, it occurred to me that there was a much more sort of baseline observation that can be made regarding the A but B. And it's sort of a apples and oranges kind of fallacy, like comparing two things that are not of the same kind. So on the left side of the but, we have undocumented immigrants. And on the right side of the but, we have immigration. And undocumented immigrants, by definition, are not reflected in any record keeping. So undocumented immigrants, they're not documented, they're not recorded, so they are not contributing to immigration records, hence undocumented, right? So we have undocumented immigrants, but immigration, So that's already kind of apples and oranges, and I thought I would add that just to sort of round off the analysis. I hope it was helpful. Even if you're just helpful, just getting into the mood of analyzing things. Was there one other thing I wanted to mention? It occurred to me. I looked up that I think it's 14.5% of residents in America were not born in America. So it occurred to me that the percentage of people not born in America plus their children, it occurred to me that could be higher than I imagined, and I'm not sure how high it is. I didn't extend my Google search that far. But that's sort of a mitigating factor. Maybe it's not 80-20, but even if it were 50-50, right? Recognizing the proportionality there is a very important point for understanding the significance of the but and what what we ought to consider the relationship between the left side of the butt and the right side of the butt. And a joke occurs to me, but I won't attempt it. Okay. Thank you for your time and attention. Bye-bye.